You ever feel totally confused about fat on a ketogenic and carnivore diet, like what kind and how much? Let's get into it. Welcome everyone to my humble channel. Now, I debated making a video tonight because it just came in from this beautiful winter snowy first day of snow here in Tennessee in January 2024. Let's get into it. The fat. What kind of fat? How much fat? Now, you OGs, you already get it, but you newbies, let's go. You need 200 grams of fat. Let's just get that out of the way. You're not going to get into ketosis if you're 150 grams of fat or 100 grams of fat. You're just not. You can make ketones, but they won't be stable. And if you don't believe me, test for 3 months and watch your ketones do this thunk, 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 up and down and up and down and up and down. So people will have blocks of like, my ketones were at a 3.3 or a 3.5. I'm like, you're not in ketosis. Oh, my ketones were at like a 1.6. Ketosis. It's not easy to get into. You can pop out like that. And then your body needs the equipment to make the darn ketones. Now, even if you ate carbs and you didn't eat for 5 hours, you'd make ketones. And then you'd pee them out. You wouldn't use them because the blood sugar would be too high for your body to consider using those ketones. Even if you take a blood ketone test with a glucometer and you test at, let's say, 3.5 ketones, but your blood sugar is 90, you're not in ketosis. You're never going to be in ketosis with those numbers. Your ketones and your glucose must match and be stable. If your protein is too high and your fats are too low, and then you're staying up super late, and then you cheated and had a bunch of almonds one day, or you just had like 2 bites of your child's cereal or cake, you're not going to be in ketosis. It takes so long for your body to switch gasoline fuel types. You find yourself going from hardcore trying to be in ketosis to, oops, I was at a party and had like 2 bites of something. Well, the brain at that juncture is still wanting glucose, so you gave it that crack, and then it wants more. And then the blood sugar goes blah, 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 blah. Then it takes a while to stabilize the blood sugar again and produce viable ketones in 2 sweet spot ranges. Blood sugar between a 75 and an 83, and ketones between a 1.8 and a 3.0. If they're too high, they're swimming with nowhere to go. If they're too low, you're not making enough. That's the ketones. And if your glucose is too high, why would your body even bother using ketones? The fat is so important on a carnivore diet for a plethora of reasons, including the brain, reproductive system, and this goes for keto as well. For your adrenal system, your thyroid, hypoglycemia, that once you stop being fat phobic and get it in, you'll be shocked on how much better you feel, rather than riding the line of a lot of protein and then eating a gob of food at the end of the day. And you think that you're going to stabilize your metabolism and your gut motility that way. You are sorely mistaken. I'm going to give you a visual of butter. Now, they were out of my Vital Farms, and to be honest, come springtime, I'm going to make my own butter because I'm tired of the prices. So I had to go for the salted Kerrygold that does not have the aluminum wrapper around the individual sticks. I had to go for the salted because it's not skimmed. I don't trust the skimmed, unsalted. It's making people break out in histamine And this is something new that they've changed, but here's a block of 4. How much, right? And a lot of you, I'd say 50% of you, can't even tolerate butter because there's no lactose in butter. It's the protein, whey and casein. A little bit left over can make people with histamine intolerance react. This is a stick. There are 8 tablespoons, 8, and a stick of butter. In fact, you can see them right there. That's 8. I eat 1 full stick every morning for breakfast. That's 113 grams. 1 whole one, without even blinking. How do I eat it? I have a plate of liver. I take a tablespoon and a tablespoon of butter, and I fork it, the butter, then I fork the meat, and they both go in the gullet all at once, because at this juncture, butter tastes like cream cheese for me, or to me. Have no phobia of eating the fat whatsoever. It is delicious. It keeps my reproductive hormones on check, my adrenals on check, my thyroid on check. Butter has so many amazing fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin D, which is so important for people who are dealing with thyroid issues and gut issues. But you don't have to have just butter. There's ghee, and if you can't tolerate ghee, there's lamb fat. There's beef tallow, which is the oily drippings that they put in a jar and sell it. You can make your own rendered fat by just putting it in a pan or a pot and letting it melt down, and then putting it in a mason jar. You can add salt to it. I can't talk because it's so late. You can add salt to it and it changes the texture so it's not so waxy, and that also goes for pork belly fat, the drippings. Yeah. So beef fat, lamb fat, pork fat, butter. Now the cheeses are hard no. Even your goat and sheep. There's too much casein, and if you're dealing with leaky gut, it's a wrap. Now raw butter is the best. Raw milk. Now that's a whole nother subject. There's too many carbs for people trying to adapt, so skirt that. You got to be careful for the cream and the sour creams and the cottage cheese. There's more whey and casein in that, so I often don't suggest it. Just stick with the butter or the clarified butter or tallow. For me, the most nutritionist, I cannot talk, I'm telling you. The type of fat that has the most nutrition is butter. Hands down. The second one after that, maybe tallow. Or maybe it's 50-50 tallow and lard. But butter really is super, super, super nutritious. Egg yolks, they don't have enough fat. So if you're counting the egg yolks or the fat on your ribeye, it's not. You need to add additional fat onto the plate to be ketogenic, to hit those basic 200 grams of fat. Coconut oil, olive oil, palm oil, avocado oil. These are not ketogenic fats. MCT oil is a waste of money. Animal fat, that's what we are made out of, and that's what really helps those ketones and the blood sugar to stabilize over time. And how do I know? Because I've worked with thousands upon thousands of people over the last 12 years. Just all day, every day, using a glucometer. It is very important to get animal fat in, and the fat of choice is always going to be butter first because of the CLAs, the ALAs, the omega-3s, fat-soluble vitamins, the vitamin D, the vitamin A. It's amazing. Now, bird fat is considered an omega-6. You can have it sometimes for flavor, but that fat on your ground turkey, or turkey thigh or chicken thigh as your main fat, hard pass. If you can't tolerate butter because you're having a reaction to it, you can go for tallow. Some people like suet, but remember, if it's not rendered, there's going to be tissue in that, which is protein. So fat trimmings like around a ribeye, and you're eating just that, and you blast it in an air fryer and it's crunchy, it's protein, it's not pure fat. What's pure fat is what drips to the bottom of your pan. That's pure fat. And that's what we want by 12 tablespoons. Now, again, people with gallbladder issues, I might have them do plant fats and trimmings for the short term, and then work on a strategy to get that gallbladder worked out, get the flow going, your gallbladder. But there are several strategies and different ways that you can get the fat in. Remember, it's always going to be about animal fat to have sustained, even, daily ketones, instead of one day my ketones were 0.5, the next day my ketones were a 2.9. Blood sugar must be stable, ketones must be stable, and eating every 3 hours is so important when it comes to dealing with hitting that plateau, really, that getting into ketosis plateau. So many people struggle with getting into ketosis because they don't understand the importance of getting in at least 2 of these a day. Now, it doesn't have to be butter, right? If you have very, very fatty pork belly and you cook, let's say, pork belly bacon, put the drippings back on your plate. I don't care if you lick that plate. Get that fat in. Stop worrying about calories. It's more about how your hormones and your digestive system deal with those fat calories rather than the calories on their own. If you're insulin sensitive and you can digest the fat and you can keep your stress down and go to bed early, like I'm not doing tonight, you can stabilize your blood sugar and ketones without the weight gain. And then the skin people, the skin, the energy, the sleep, the reproductive system, women who are flashing, they get those adrenals going and calm down, and men with andropause, and young men who can't stabilize their reproductive hormones, especially testosterone. Too many xenoestrogens in their reality. But I hope this helps. This is just a quasi quick video because it came inside all like, it's so beautiful outside with it snowing. And I had to redo some of these videos because Deo was just jumping, my new dog, jumping my face every freaking second. I'm like, dude, I know this snow is making you hyper, but you're freaking me out. Yes, comment below. Tell me if you are plateauing on your keto adaptation because you don't know how much fat, 200 grams. You can actually go up to 300 grams or even more. It really helps with hypoglycemia. It really helps with things like fibromyalgia, reproductive issues. And if you have a fatty liver, fat is not going to make your liver more fatty. That came from the sugar and the carbs and the hard life. Fat is not going to be able to convert into ketones very well if your liver is jacked up and your liver enzymes, your ALT or your AST are too high. But it doesn't damage your liver. So get that out of the way and stop freaking out about the cholesterol. It is an antioxidant. We need it. It's about the LDL, low density lipoproteins, that become sticky and they get very, very small, and people don't know how to interpret the cholesterol panels. So when people come in these consultations like, here's my paperwork, I'm like, look, I just want to know your insulin, your HbA1c, your GFR, your ALT, your AST, and how you feel. If you guys feel that you're struggling and you don't know how to put it all together, book a consultation. I know what I'm doing after all these thousands of people. You can also go to my Instagram, which is Stephanie Ketogenic, my Facebook fan page, which is Stephanie the Business Person, or you can jump onto my monthly course, which is subscription based, or wait for the challenge. But I'm out because it's gonna be like 11 degrees or something cold tonight, so we gotta like warmify this camper, because as you can see, I'm kind of wearing a lot lately. And I'm out. Share this content and hit the notification bell. Peace.